How's it going, guys? So what do you do when AMD challenges you to cool a 9590?
You submerge it in mineral oil.
And will it work?
Let's find out.
Alright, so the heart of our build, yeah, and I mean the heart, is going to be this 250 Bomba submergible pump. Now, I didn't go with the super cheap pump this time because, as you can see over there, look how much gallons per hour that one's pumping. Now, that's an 80 gallon per hour pump, and that's very slow. That's not going to be moving nearly enough oil for what we need. So this is 250 gallons per hour, and it's name brand, so it's going to be more persistent compared to this one that has no headroom, which is what that's called, of how much oil it can lift, or water in most cases. But in this case, it's going to be oil. Now, for the power supply, we went with this actually pretty nice 650 watt Thermaltake power supply, and this one actually has individually sleeved cables. Now, it's not modular in any way really, but it's individually sleeved cables, and they're really nice looking. They're not the braided ones or anything, so I think those actually look pretty good. And disclaimer, they don't make the power cord cables out of any type of material that can be eaten by mineral oil, okay? Alright, just because last time we did this we had a lot of controversy, and by the way, this computer over here still works perfectly fine, but we are basically upgrading it big time. So next we have the Silicon Power 120 gig SSD. Now, just so you know, this one actually came out of that computer. There's still some oil on it. It was in this computer originally for about a year and a half. We took it out, put it in the server computer without even cleaning it. Still had oil on it, and now we're going to be putting it back in. Still works perfectly fine. It's actually a really good power supply. It's a really good solid state drive for being how cheap it was at the time, which back then I think it was like 70 bucks. And they're a lot cheaper now. Here's a 120 millimeter radiator, and I'm gonna go ahead and... So this is just a bare radiator. There's no fans on or anything. This is the cheap way to get them, and especially if you're gonna be running your own tubing, your own tubifers here. And this thing is actually, look at that, dude. It's nice looking. So you can actually mount a fan on front and back. You can see it has these little nipple covers here. I want to say that these are like 3/8 opening or ID. So as long as you get 3/8 tubing, it should be good. And then we might have to put clamps on it. I don't know yet. It might be fine. That. Next, we have the 9590, AMD's basically best processor they have. I think it is the best right now, right? They don't have the Zen series out yet, so this is their 8-core. It's at like what, 5 gigahertz stock, and don't even get me started on the overclocking. Maybe this thing actually cools it. Maybe we'll try some, but that's a big maybe. We have 8 gigs of HyperX RAM, which I haven't even seen this stuff yet, but this RAM is definitely my favorite looking RAM, just because of that nice, like, shiny red, and it's not all, I guess you could say, Ripjaws like, where it's, you know, like with the big heat fins. I definitely prefer this brand more. I think it's, yeah, it's just, oh, it's 1866, so it's actually not 1600, so it's gonna be a little bit faster. We have these cable splitters. Now what these are going to do is we're going to be having at least two fans up top, 2 or 3, and I might have ripped this wrong, so we're going to get out the safety scissors again. They make it go from 1 4-pin fan header to 2 4-pin fan headers. So this is going to give us a little bit of extra cable length, which we're going to need because it's coming out of the actual computer, and then that's going to be going up top to our radiator that has the 2 Corsair fans on it, which are right here. Now these are going to glow red, and now that's the floor, and they're actually really cool looking. They're the quiet edition, which doesn't really matter for this case. 1500 RPM. They're 120 millimeter fans, so those two will fit on there. They have like the noise dampening O-rings on them and all that, so it's gonna look really nice. And the whole build is kind of like a red setup. Now check this out. We got our hands on an RX 460. So it's 4 gigs of GDDR5. It's the Sapphire Nitro series, and it's the overclocked one. And now you can get one that's a little bit underpowered, it's not overclocked, and it's going to be using a lot less wattage, but this thing alone I think only uses like 85 watts, even the overclocked version, which is really good in this case because we're trying to keep this stuff cool because mineral oil does not dissipate heat nearly as well as air does. So just so you know, this is a challenge. This is not easy at all. Honestly, this build right here almost even overheated before, and it's like a single core or dual core processor, so that gives you an idea of how this is going to be. Next we have the 990 FX Gaming. So this is the motherboard they felt, or AMD felt as though would go best with this actual computer. So this is this one, and I'm giving them props for that because this board is really freaking sweet. It has so many expansion slots on it, and it's really gamer looking too. USB 3.1, I haven't even seen that yet on a board, so this is kind of my first time. Everything looks really cool on it. Let me see if there's any details. Oh yeah, it does have the boost audio, so that's going to glow red, which will also kind of add to our red theme here. And then lastly, which I probably should have shown this with the processor, but it's whatever. They sent us an H60. Is it an H60i or H60? Okay, so this is an H60. Logo does not glow or anything, but it does have the Corsair. No, it doesn't have the Corsair link. So this one doesn't have Corsair link, and you can't get it either. This one just has the actual pins for the pump, and then the Molex or 3-pin for the two fans back here. So we'll figure out which one we want to use, and then this one's going to get plugged into the CPU fan header. And this is actually just going to be to cool the 9590, because if that 9590 goes rogue into the mineral oil, I don't think there's any hope of cooling it. So they sent us this just to help out a little bit. So right now we're draining this computer over here. Like I said, this one we had it mocked up a little bit. It had like a, I don't know, a 5670 or something like that. No, it was a 5450, I think, graphics card, and it had like a cheap power supply. It had an actual pre-built motherboard, so who knows how old the motherboard was, and like a dual-core Athlon processor. Now it was pretty cool though. We played games on it. What it could play, we could really only play Halo, the original Halo, and that was about it. But it was a really cool build. But we've always wanted to upgrade this thing, and now we're finally getting a chance to do that. Alright, so we have the 120mm Corsair H60 hooked up, and it's on there. We have these little pieces of cotton cloth to kind of buffer zone this right now so it doesn't stab a hole through it. We're going to figure out something for that later. Alright, so we got everything all set up now. We have the radiator, the 240mm radiator with two Corsair 120mm quiet plug fans. We have our tubing all set up, connected to the pond pump, which in theory should be able to just plug it in once there's oil in it, and it should start circulating really well. We have our 120mm radiator set up going to the CPU, and that's all plugged in. We have our lights plugged in, which can change color here. We have three different colors. We have light blue, white, and blue. And yeah, I'm gonna go turn it on for you guys so you guys can see what it looks like. So we got the power button hooked up and everything.
Switch over to this thing, getting filled up with mineral oil, and we will go from there. Alright guys, so we are going to be doing the big fill up now. We basically have that giant tub of mineral oil, which are basically Jackson's going to lift and pour in. Then we have a couple more bottles we're going to use to top it off, because of the last mineral oil PC, we never really fully topped it off yet. So, and especially with this one, we want to get as much oil as we can fit in it. So.
And also, we're not going to have it on for at least the beginning of the test, because this 9590 gets hot real fast, and we don't want to risk frying anything, so we're not going to have it on just yet. Maybe we'll turn it on once it's above the CPU.
Alright, so let's get right into the time lapse.
Alright, so we just installed some drivers for this dank PC. See, we got the fans and the pond pump going and everything. We got the fan over here for 120 going. Looks pretty good. So we have graphics drivers now. I don't think we have like chipset or anything like that, but we're gonna get those installed and we're gonna test this thing out for gaming and see if it actually can keep up with the temps.
Alright, so as you saw in the benchmarks, this PC actually performs pretty well. It is limited by the RX 460, that's mainly the limiting factor. It is a budget graphics card, but really, this is more of an overall concept showing you that you can make a higher end mineral oil PC compared to the one we made years back when the channel first started. And basically, yeah, I'm very impressed with what we got here. We had some hiccups down the line, but we managed to fix everything, and it's running really well. The pump is going good, and yeah, so...
Yeah, we had a couple of leaks from here and there,
Yeah.
but once we found them, we fixed that, so no more leakage. Which that's a big thing. If you ever want to try this at home, do not do it inside. Like, no matter how safe you think you're doing it, you're always gonna get oil everywhere. That's just kind of how it works. But 9590, we're actually keeping it cool. Without the water cooler, do I think it's possible? Probably not. Just because, like I said, I had a dual core that was in there, and it was only like 65 watts. And with the normal air cooler, which doesn't do anything by the way in the oil, even when it was circulating the fluid up top with the, it was only 120 millimeter that was circulating it, it was still overheating. So
we're actually getting idle temps somewhere around the 11 degrees Celsius range, which is kind of ridiculous. We're using core temp 1.2, and basically when it goes to max load, it seems to keep going around 50-ish and then starts slowing down a little bit, but I mean, that's pretty good for a 9590. The heat beast that AMD has that everyone thinks you just need to slap as much as you can on it. It was really good. I'm really impressed with what we did here. So I guess if you like this video, leave a like. If you dislike this video, leave a dislike and comment down below what you think. Also, check out AMD's website. Yes. Pretty soon they're going to be having the Zen processors come out, and we're excited about that. Yeah, special thanks to AMD. They're still trying out the older ones, but they're still pretty awesome. And I'm definitely going to try overclocking this at some point. Hopefully that doesn't blow it up, but so it'd be a fun test to see, right? Yep, very true. So thank you guys again for watching this video. Special thanks to AMD again for the 9590M motherboard to be able to do this video. Really awesome of them to challenge us, and I think we completed that challenge very well. I think it was a success. So yeah, thank you guys again. Be sure to hit that sub button if you haven't already, and we'll see you in another video.